What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to break down the NASCAR Cup Series race at Richmond on Draftkings. We're going to get into all the plays that I'm interested in, all the plays I like. So we'll go through them all. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to this channel if you're new. Leave a comment on any questions that you have. We're going to go through this race. We're going to start with Chase Elliott, the most expensive driver. I think he's going to be popular. I really like Chase Elliott today, or for this race. This race is not today, but he starts 15th, and fortunately for this race, we can finally look at a race from this year with this car for data. We can look at Phoenix. It's one of the most similar tracks to Richmond. Richmond and Phoenix are very similar racetracks, so we're going to look at a lot of stuff we're going to base a lot of our stuff off of that race. Not everything, but a lot of stuff off that race. Chase Elliott starting 15th. He had an average position of 4, and he led 50 laps while having 36 fast laps, but he only finished 11th. That was due to I think some pit crew stuff. There were some things going on there, but he was definitely the fastest car that day, in my opinion. I think he probably wins this race if it wasn't for other issues in that race. So I really like Chase Elliott today. I think he's probably your best bet to win, in my opinion. I don't think he's going to be owned, but he probably won't be as owned as he should be, and that might just be because Kyle Larson's right there. Finished 34th at Phoenix, but he did have an average position of 14th, and I mean, I know it's not great, but when he finished 34th, it's pretty good. Only led 2 laps, but 16 fast laps, was running in the top 5 for most of that race before he had issues. So I like Kyle Larson here. I think I'm going to prefer Chase Elliott because I think it's more likely that he leads laps, but I'm fine going to Kyle Larson as well. Kyle Busch, I'm just not going to be too interested in him right now. Look, Joe Gibbs Racing has not been good. Let's just be real. They have not shown much speed at all this year to start the year, except for that Las Vegas race. Other than that race, just nothing. At Phoenix a few weeks ago, not really much. I know they were fast this morning in qualifying, but that is qualifying. That's not an actual race. And I think a lot of people are looking for Joe Gibbs Racing to bounce back here because they've historically been really good at Richmond. But if people are going to play these cars, I'm just probably going to stay away. So I'm not going to be too interested in Kyle Busch. Same thing with Martin Truex Jr. I know he's been historically great at Richmond, but I just haven't seen it from this team at all this year, so I'm not going to really want to go there. Ryan Blaney is probably going to be the most popular driver today, most popular dominator for this race. He led 143 laps at Phoenix. He finished 4th. He had an average position of 5. He had 52 fast laps, and he was fast in qualifying and practice today and starts on the pole. So that's going to be a lot of people going to dominators. However, I don't like to look at track history from the past too much because of the next-gen car, but Ryan Blaney historically has done very good at Phoenix, and then just at Richmond sucks. I don't know why. Most drivers, the tracks correlate pretty well, and you see the same guys do well at pretty much the same tracks. But Ryan Blaney has been terrible at Richmond his career. Now, he hasn't been improving. Last year's finishes were definitely better, but they were still not what we want from him. So Ryan Blaney, with all the ownership he's going to get to him, I can see in tournaments going away from him. In cash, I think you need to play him. You probably need to play him. Everyone's going to play him. He's definitely a safer dominator play today, or for this race, but getting away from him in tournaments is not a bad strategy in my opinion. I don't think it's super unlikely that he leads 10 laps in this race. That can definitely happen. So, but I could also see him pulling off a 143 lap led race again, but we'll see. In tournaments, I do think being underweight on Ryan Blaney might be smart. Cash, you got to play him. Denny Hamlin starting 13th. That's pretty much where he ran at Phoenix. Maybe he runs a little bit better, but I just don't really see any reason to go to him here. Joey Logano, starting 11th, finished 8th at Phoenix, had an average position at 8th Phoenix, so I expect him to probably run about in the top 10 all day at $9,200. Probably not going to be what we want here. William Byron is the guy that, one of the pivots off Blaney as a dominator in this race, I think, is a good play here. Starting 2nd, he finished 18th at Phoenix, which is not good, but he did have an average position of 6th, and he led 12 laps while also having 19 fast laps. Most of those were early in the race. Hendrick sort of fell off during that race. They just had some issues, but they've been so fast all year. I expect them to come back and be fast here. Wouldn't be surprised if we see William Byron lead a bunch of laps. Definitely someone on my radar. Ross Chastain's hot right now. 5 straight top 5s or something like that. I don't really know the exact number, but he's been on fire. Coming off a win last week at COTA. Great to see him win there. Starts 8th. He finished 2nd at Phoenix, but only had an average position of 9. He kind of got up there towards the end of the race when there were some cautions and some things, and he was able to weed through some traffic. So I don't know if he should really be a favorite to win here and to lead laps. He didn't lead any laps at Phoenix, but he did have 17 fast laps. He was fast. He's definitely going to be a top 10 car in my opinion, but being a dominator, I think it's possible, but I don't think it's very likely. I don't think it's one of the more likely options. I think definitely Blaney, Byron, Elliott, Larson, probably all are ahead of him right now. Christopher Bell, it's just had a miserable season. Starts 9th here, was terrible at Phoenix. I'm just not interested at all. Alex Bowman's going to be chalky, but I think he should be. Starting 28th, Finished 14th at Phoenix, but had an average position of 10, had 4 fast laps, so he showed some speed. I don't think this is the type of race where we see Alex Bowman, although he did win Richmond last year, but Richmond last year, he won that race on late race restart. I think it was like the only 2 laps he led that whole race. So, which that's how most Alex Bowman's wins come. Anyway, but, $8,500 starting 28th. I mean, he should definitely be a top 15 car at the very least. Probably gets a top 10 in this race, so I like Alex Bowman a lot. I think Chase Briscoe's another guy to pivot off as a dominator from Ryan Blaney. He won Phoenix, had an average position of 5, led 101 laps, had 40 fast laps. He should have won that. He was best. He was really fast. He was one of the top 3 cars that day. The top 3 cars today were Elliott, Blaney, and Briscoe. Elliott had issues, and then Briscoe was just faster at the end than Blaney, so Briscoe won. So Chase Briscoe starting 4th here. I think he could definitely get to the lead pretty quickly here. This should be a race where he does very well if it's anything like Phoenix. So I definitely like Chase Briscoe as a pivot option off of Ryan Blaney as a dominator. I like Tyler Reddick here for a few reasons. I think he could lead laps, and I think he has a really good place differential here. He finished 3rd in Phoenix, had an average position of 6 and 15 fast laps, not lead a lap. He had a similar race to Ross Chastain, so I do kind of see a similar path there where he's definitely going to be a top 10 car. I don't know if he's going to be a lap leader, but I think it's definitely possible. They're definitely possible lap leaders, a little bit more on the unlikely side. Kevin Harvick starts 7th, finished 6th at Phoenix, average position 6th at Phoenix, had 20 fast laps. I mean, that's like Kevin Harvick's best track ever. Phoenix, like he's just all-time historically great there, so I think he probably runs about the same here, maybe a little bit worse. Kurt Busch starting 27th is going to be popular. He finished 5th at Phoenix, but he did only have an average position of 16 at Phoenix, so don't be like looking at that race and saying, oh my gosh, Kurt Busch could get top 5 again. Like, I don't know about that. I think, top 15 is probably where we're looking at here, which may not make him the best play in tournaments, in my opinion. That's definitely someone I could see being a little bit underweight there. Daniel Suarez starting 14th, also another guy with a higher finish than his average running position, which finished 9th, average running position 18th. I don't think Suarez is going to do that much here. Everyone's super high on Daniel Suarez right now. I mean, mostly because Trackhouse is awesome, but I think Ross Chastain's a much better driver than Daniel Suarez. Like, he almost won that race at California. It was Auto Club, right? Yeah, Auto Club race, but he wasn't up there at all until the last restart. That's it. He was not there. He ran well at COTA last week, but before having issues. So I'm just not as high on Daniel Suarez in general as most people are. That's me. If you want to play him, I get it, but I'm not going to be there today. Eric Almirola starting 10th, 7,700. He probably runs around there most of the day. Probably not going to be too interested. Eric Jones, he looks fast. Qualified 5th, was top 10 in practice, I believe. He was really fast today, so we'll see what happens. I mean, last time we had Eric Jones had a really fast in qualifying in practice was at Auto Club, and he led laps. I think he was optimal in that race, so almost won that race. I don't hate it, but I mean, it's a really deep tournament play. If you're playing a lot of lineups, yeah, Eric Jones with 1 or 2, sure, but I mean, it's probably like not a play you really want to get to. Brad Keselowski's been horrible this year. I mean, we're just going to assume that stays. Austin Cindric's interesting. He didn't really run well at Phoenix, but he has in the Xfinity Series in the past. He's also run well at Richmond in the past, so $7,200 starting 20th. I don't think he's going to be too highly owned because everyone is playing Austin Dillon this week. We'll get to him in a second. So getting off of Dillon to Cindric, I don't think is a terrible play. I know Austin Dillon's going to look great. I mean, historically at Richmond, Austin Dillon's great, but like I said, I don't really want to look at track history too much. That being said, he did have an average running position at 10 at Phoenix, so he should do well. I think he's definitely a top 15 car, could contend for a top 10, and honestly, he's a sleeper for the win, but I mean, he's been getting talked to by everybody this week. He's going to be so popular, and you can just pay up $200 more to get to Cindric. I don't hate that as a tournament play. If you're playing cash, play Austin Dillon. I mean, he's one of the first guys you lock in a cash lineup is Austin Dillon, but in tournaments, I do not mind going to Cindric over Dillon at all. Chris Buescher starts 18th. He finished 10th at Phoenix, but only had an average running position of 18, so I don't really expect much from him. I mean, RFK's just been terrible this year. AJ Allmendinger starting 26th. He's probably going to be popular because we always see AJ Allmendinger be popular, especially coming off of last week where he almost won that race and really blew a lot of lineups, including mine, on the last turn of that freaking race. So that was frustrating, but starting 26, I mean, Kaulig really hasn't been that fast this year, to be completely honest. They were fast at a road course, but that's because AJ Allmendinger is probably a top 5 road racer in NASCAR right now. So I don't expect much from him. I think he could get like a top 15, but he did run a race in Kaulig at Phoenix earlier this year. 25th average running position, finished 20th. I don't really expect much from him. Michael McDowell, I just don't see much. Stenhouse sucked at Phoenix, but I don't hate going here. I think he shouldn't be this. I mean, he should be cheap, but some of the guys he's priced around, starting that far back, especially this is another pivot. Like, everyone's going to play Justin Haley. He starts last tomorrow. Finished 17th at Phoenix, but again, he only had an average running position of 24, and I know Stenhouse is right there, so it's 28, but This is just kind of a gut call here that Haley's going to be so much more owned than Stenhouse. Although I will say this is Richmond. This is a track where you need a lot of track position. Track position is more important than anything. It's hard to pass here. But it is a next-gen car, so we'll see what happens. I don't mind going there. If you want to pivot off Haley, I don't mind the Stenhouse thing, but I also just don't mind not playing either of them at all. I don't think you need to play them. I think some of these guys down here, like, no one's playing these guys, and I don't think they're the worst plays. Cole Custer starting 12th. He ran decent at Phoenix, man. I know this is finished 16th, average running position 17th. It's worse than he started, but, I mean, if Cole Custer gets 12th, competes for a top 10 at $6,100, it's going to be good. Like, that's not, a $8,200, or it's not an $88,000 Kevin Harvick. It's a $6,100. So I don't mind that. Going to Bubba Wallace, he's just not good. These are not the type of tracks he does well at. Actually, they kind of are. He just sucked. I mean, this team, Toyota's just off right now, and he's starting farther back. Again, Bubba, Stenhouse, Haley going to get more ownership than, like, Custer and Burton. Harrison Burton sucked this year, though. I don't want to play him. I mean, honestly, Cole Custer's the one in here that I don't think anyone's playing him, and I don't think he's the worst player in the world. Todd Gilliland's actually been decent this year. I mean, surprisingly, I thought he'd be, like, horrible, but he hasn't been that bad. Starting 22nd, I mean, he should probably run around there all day. That's what he kind of did at Phoenix, 22nd best average position, finished 19th. So I don't mind that. Corey LaJoie wrecked early at Phoenix, so his numbers suck. But, I mean, he has $5,400, but we really haven't seen much from Spire this year, aside from that Atlanta finish, but that's a plate race, so whatever, who cares. $5,400, starting 31st. Not gonna be too interested. And then Ty Dillon, he's too cheap. Why is Ty Dillon $5,200? This Petty team has not been bad. They've been a consistent top 20 team for the most part this year. Now Eric Jones is not beginning the finishes that they deserve, but he's been running up there. Finished 15th at Phoenix, average position of 21. I think he's gonna get owned because he starts 30th, and I mean he's just way too cheap. Like, Ty Dillon should be more expensive than LaJoie, Gilliland, Harrison Burton. That's probably it. But, like, that's three guys. Like, he should be, $5,700? You're going to get $5,200 for a guy that definitely competes for a top 20 in this race? Give me that all day. I think he's the best cheap play. I think you should play him in cash. And Dylan Bros in cash look good. I'm not going to any of these guys below Ty Dillon. They're just not interesting to me at all. So, that's kind of where I'm at. Making cash lines. So, like, Elliott for cash. I like Blaney for cash. I like the Dylan Bros for cash. That'd probably be my core four for cash for tomorrow. And then, I mean, for Dominators, look, if you're playing cash, we already said Ryan Blaney, but pivots off of that are Byron, let's see, who's the other one? Chase Briscoe. And then, I mean, like, Larson and Elliott could lead laps here. Like, I mean, they give you place differential with lap let upside. I think Chastain and Reddick have outside chances to lead laps here, but I don't think it's as high. That's pretty much where I'm at for lap sled. Other pivots off the chalk here, I think Cindric's going to be a good pivot off chalk, and I think Cole Custer will too. So, and I think Ty Dillon. Well, Ty Dillon's probably going to be chalk, so. That's where I'm at. Thanks for checking this out. Make sure to like, subscribe. Good luck tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.